Hey, how goes it? Ken Bozak here to talk about Litecoin and the Litecoin accessories. And today I am with Andrew and Alan. How goes it, bros?
Hey, Ken.
Hey,
Hey, I
yeah, thanks
appreciate
for
you
having
guys
us on.
stopping by, man. This is going to be cool. We're going to be talking about Litecoin, Litecoin Foundation, Litecoin's role in the future of money, and Litecoin events such as like the Litecoin Summit that will be at World CryptoCon around Halloween in Vegas. So definitely check that out. So why don't you guys do a quick introduction and let people know maybe a little bit about yourself, if you can, in a nutshell, maybe how you got into crypto and why Litecoin, and let people know a little bit about what your role is now in the community. I guess we'll go with Alan. Alan first.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, just I guess it all kind of came from having over the last 20 years in one form or another. I've worked with in the real estate and finance kind of related industries. Out of grad school, actually, I got a job at a real estate startup company that was building some pretty amazing technology, and and I was kind of thrown into that whole mix of, man, I was actually managing accounts like Fannie Mae, Bank of America, and a
Wow.
lot of these big accounts. And back then, even especially more so, I'd go out to these places, and it was a pretty eye-opening experience. And how I remember even back then how slow it was to not only get things done with their systems, but for decisions to be made when we were trying to work with them. And so I managed accounts for a long time, stayed in the technology side, got in more to the sales side of real estate, but always was working with banks for the last many years in one form or another. So I think so ultimately when crypto came out, well, I think like a lot of people, I ignored it years ago. And I
That's pretty
think
much everybody did except like
um,
Satoshi.
so I enjoy smoking a cigar on occasion, and there's this international cigar company that started taking Bitcoin like in 2013, and
Oh,
I kept seeing on their site, we accept Bitcoin, and I didn't pay attention to it for a while, but it kept ringing in the back of my head. I said, finally, I said, what the hell is Bitcoin? So I looked into it, and I think back then I kept reading. I remember a bunch of posts talking about how there was keeping it on your computer was a risk and people could steal. And between everything else I had going on, I just thought maybe there was too much risk at the time. I don't know exactly. I think it was I remember the price was around $30. That's all I remember.
oh.
So
Yeah,
kind of ignored it.
hindsight in
Uh,
mind, risk wasn't so bad, but risk is only what you make it, right? So
well, it
if you
was it
put in
was
what you
more
can't
of the
afford to lose,
did
the
I want
risk
to
is
get? I didn't
high.
know. I was so busy with other stuff. But I was fascinated by it at the time. So when it came back again, one more time again, sort of ignored it. But then ultimately, I think in early 2017, something I can't remember what it was triggered me again. I said, okay, you know what? This is still around. I need to find out more about this. And spent I don't know, maybe countless hours watching, really getting a deeper understanding of the blockchain.
Oh
You know
yeah,
how.
you went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, but I actually, for me, anything that I'm going to invest in, it's because I've been investing for about 20 years. So anything I invest in, I want to know about. I want to know where I'm putting my money. And so, yeah, I spent like hours in understanding how things are all connected on the blockchain. I mean, to a real detailed level, and obviously didn't understand all of it at the time, at least, but got the gist of it, and said, this is pretty amazing. Combined with the fact that I had all this experience with banks and the way they were doing things, I said, this is really amazing. And there it was. I was hooked. Got into Bitcoin after several months. I kept noticing Litecoin on Coinbase. This was back when there were only 3 coins, and I was ignoring Litecoin for a while. I just didn't really know anything about it. And finally, I said, there must be something about it. I mean, there's one of three. Started doing a little research. Bought a little Litecoin, and the first time I ever sent some Litecoin as a transaction, it was like, wow. I mean, how fast this was, how easy it was.
Yeah, Bitcoin's
And
definitely a little high anxiety on that confirmation time, especially for my first time. I remember sitting there, and even if it was $1, I was like, I hope I get one of these confirmation thingies. It's been a
yeah.
while. Yeah, when I did use Litecoin for the first time, it was damn near instantaneous, and it was a different cleaner user experience for a noob, that's for sure.
It was. And I think like everybody, when you first, you've got to start somewhere, right? And Bitcoin is usually the first place you go. But I think for at least a large majority of people, you realize that there's opportunity. It's not just about Bitcoin. It's about a much larger space and the way we can change the way we do things, from payments to other types of services. So that's when I, really realized that Litecoin has a real solution here. And, and got involved with reached out to the foundation, just offered to do some volunteer work, and I think a little while later was invited to come aboard there, and then been working on projects since. Ran the sponsorships for last year's summit. Going to do the same for this year's, which we could talk about a little bit more later.
Also, and yeah, you mentioned banks too, so I'm definitely going to want to touch on that a little bit later as well. Why don't we give Andrew a chance to introduce himself, let everybody know a little bit more about him and his. I like your hat.
It's a cool hat,
dude. BR sent it to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, do people walk up and be like, does that mean like loser? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, because people don't know what the Litecoin logo means, and like people have asked me about that with my Litecoin tattoo. They're like, are you like a loser? Like, what is this supposed to be? Some kind of like funny like meta meme? And I'm like, no, it's Litecoin. But to me, it's like a cool conversation starter whenever that does happen.
I don't get as many comments as I thought I would, like when I wear this hat. So it's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, so my name is E. Currency Hodler. Real name is Andrew Yang. Presidential candidate. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, McAfee's got my vote. Next election, maybe.
Damn.
I can.
Damn, you can vote for me. No, I mean I got into Bitcoin maybe like late 2013, early 2014, and then bought Bitcoin when it was like 800, and then it crashed to 300. And then I like completely cried and got, hit in a corner and just, yeah, but I refused to sell. And then Bitcoin hit like 1,000 in 2017. And so it's when I sold everything, because I was like, dude, it's never like going to go, it's just going to crash again. And then of course it goes to 20K that year, right? And then I guess like why Litecoin, in 2017, Litecoin like pushed for SegWit adoption.
Yep. And
that was like pretty huge, because that's when made me a believer into like, okay, I can kind of see like a use case for what Litecoin is like in relation to Bitcoin. So that's when I started becoming like a fan and a believer, especially when I read in the beginning of 2017, Charlie wrote like this whole map of like, I view like Litecoin's vision for in the future with Bitcoin and Litecoin, and like how, he used the analogy of trains, and then like Lightning Network and SegWit and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, all this starts to make sense to me. And then now, like what I do is I created a publication for Litecoin, has like all these newcomer guides, and also have like technical articles there. I also am a volunteer at the foundation. I work with volunteer and partnership I'm a volunteer and partnership coordinator. And lastly, I'm going to show this conference, Ken. It's called the Boltathon. It's the world's first virtual Lightning Network conference and hackathon. And I'm pretty stoked about it. Like tickets are super cheap, like $10 per session, $100 for the whole conference. And if you want to learn more, just like 2 days. It's like April 5th to April 7th.
That's not bad. $100 for, I mean, the hackathon part alone will probably be getting a lot, of incentive for people to join up. That's awesome. So what do you expect to have, take place at this event, like in the virtual sense?
Yeah, so we're going to host meetings through Zoom. And then at the end of the day, or at the end of the conference, people are going to present their projects, and then you have a chance to win 0.3 Bitcoin, 0.2 Bitcoin, or 0.1 Bitcoin. So if you're a hacker, like come join the hackathon, check out the session speakers for $10. I think it's going to be sick. Like we have Alex Bosworth, we have Connor from Lightning Labs, Fabrice from Eclair. We also have Rusty Russell from C Lightning. So we've got premier builders speaking at our conference.
I want to put a bounty out on a Lightning Network functional keg tap. So people have to pay Satoshis to pump the keg to get some beer out. Somebody make that happen. Thank you. I'm waiting for it. The idea is there. Hackathon's happening. we can get this happening, because how cool would it be to go up to a local bar and be like, yo, you want a smart keg? You just put it in the corner. No, don't worry about it. Sorry, bartenders. We just McDonald's your
You
ass.
got to register how many beers you drink on the blockchain or something?
Oh, dude, that would be cool. I mean, you could even gamify it. You could put up a scoreboard. I went to a bar once that kind of had that. It was completely insane, but they had a scoreboard for whoever had the most drinks that night at the bar. And I was like,
No
this
way.
is incentivizing alcoholism, but whatever. But it was a pretty cool time. It was a pretty decent bar. But started making me think of gamifying that stuff. So that's really cool that you're putting together a virtual conference. When is this again?
April 5th to 7th, and you can check it out at www.boltathon.com. It's all like no spaces, just bolt-a-thon, and you'll find it.
All right, cool, man. So, is there anything in particular either of you expect to come out of the event, or anything that you're hoping that you can kind of provide for people that may not know much about anything to do with Litecoin or crypto or Lightning or anything? Like, is this for the noobs or is this more for advanced?
Yeah, it's for developers, but I think if you're not a developer, you should still listen to the sessions. Like, there's a lot of like quality insight that you can get on like cutting edge Lightning Network stuff, and there's even sessions that are kind of tailored towards noobs. Like Pierre Rochard, he's hosting a node launcher session.
Oh snap, Pierre, that's my boy, man. Shout out to Pierre.
Yeah, so he's going to do a node launcher session. So if you want to set up a Lightning node during his session, like I think you can be able to do that. So
do that,
yeah,
guys. Definitely. That is awesome. I just started playing around with Lightning myself. Somebody wanted to pass me a torch, and I was like, fine, I'll get around to it. And I finally did it, and yeah, it was an experience, that's for sure. It's still not user friendly, even for somebody like me who's been in the space for a few years. I'm still like, yeah, I feel like this is a lot more work than it should be. The UI and the UX are not balanced yet, but the experience is there. It works. It's just the interface is just still a little ugly, and I don't want the experience to sacrifice at the expense of the interface. So I do preach, and I do try to do what I preach, and I don't want to dumb down tech for people that aren't ready for it. I want to bring them up to the level of the tech that they can utilize it, right? Like, I don't, yeah, exactly. Like, we don't have to KYC to sell a hammer to somebody if they want to go build a treehouse, right? Like, it's up to you to be smart enough to use the tools that are at your disposal, and putting KYC and things in front of crypto is just go against all of what it is. So I want to kind of segue into that with that a little bit. And Litecoin actually ended up acquiring part of a bank last year. And you were talking about working with banks previously. I'm just curious about the role that Litecoin may play in the banking world in the future of money.
Guys, I've got to head out.
Oh, dude, no, thank you for stopping by, shilling your conference. It's all good. Thank you for the 10 Litecoin you sent me for promoting your conference.
Hey, you got this, Alan. I believe in you, bro. You got it. All right, take it easy, guys.
See.
All right, so what do you think about the role of Litecoin in the future of like banking in an institutional sense in the future of money?
It's a good question. I think as far as what's going on now, there's going to be more talk. I believe Charlie and he's supposed to talk more about this. I don't really know. I'm not really involved in all the details of where we're at with anything. I'm not sure right now.
Oh, let's
with
purely
the banking,
speculate.
But let me put it this way. I think in general, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Just checking. Okay. But, I think it's important that we have that banks, I think it's important that they're involved to some extent for at least a while to help transition, because it's kind of hard to do everything without them. I mean, I'm not talking about big picture right now.
Not
I mean,
even without banks. Imagine if you lost your login with Google. How the hell do you function in the digital world, let alone... Right. So, yeah, they are a necessity by regulated consent. Like, we can't live without them because we can't. They don't let us.
Yeah, and if you think about adoption, obviously the idea with crypto, Bitcoin, of course, is store of value, but also to use as a payments solution, right? But how do you get if right now, let's say A is nobody taking crypto and C is the whole world taking crypto? How do you get from A to C without what's that process? And it's likely going to be. And I know this because people like Eric Brown is for example a volunteer, but he is also CEO of Alliant Payments. They do a lot of merchant processing, and one of the things he's even said is the majority of merchants right now that are accepting crypto will convert their crypto to fiat, at least for now. But I think that's okay. It's like taking the baby steps. And right now, if you're a business and you have to, you're accepting fiat, I mean crypto, but you have to buy supplies and other things with people that don't take crypto, you're going to obviously have to convert. Hopefully, slowly but surely, you start keeping more, a larger and larger portion.
What would it take? What would it take to incentivize businesses to start doing that? Do you think?
I don't think it should be a hard sell, because if it's like kind of like, do you want to be on the cutting edge? There's more and more people that are involved in crypto. Some people will certainly go out of their way to go out, to go to your business to do things. The other thing is, you really have nothing to lose. If you're already a merchant taking the dollar, and you can easily get set up to also take cryptocurrency, why wouldn't you? There's not, if you're going to convert it anyway, if you're worried about that, then at least, offer that as another way of accepting. I don't think there's much to lose. I think you'd have to be somebody that just has something seriously against cryptocurrency, or something else to not want to take it. Hopefully, though, it's a combination of customers coming in saying, "Hey, do you take Litecoin? Do you take Bitcoin?" But it also, I think it's just going to be.
Sorry, yeah, but I think that's like one of the most empowering tools right there, is just asking every business you walk in, hey, do you accept Litecoin? Do you accept Bitcoin? Do you accept crypto in general? Just bring it to their attention. Hey, how goes it? This is the guy to walk in and be like that. This is the guy. How goes it?
And actually, speaking of which, John's on the front lines when it comes to talking to people about those things, and so good timing.
Oh, there we go. Hey, Starbucks.
Hey, I learned from the best, Ken Bozak, baby. He's been in the game for years. I just came into the picture about a year ago. So, Godfather, Ken Bozak, bow down, bow down.
Hey, Padawan, you've done well. So, I see you're at Starbucks, dude. I actually just bought Starbucks yesterday with Bitcoin. I was using ipayu.io. So they don't pay me or not. It's just a website I use whenever I want to spend crypto, and you can get your Starbucks gift cards. I think you can even try to get 10% off. So you can get your coffee a little bit cheaper when you spend crypto. So, dude, how goes the day, man?
I'm actually, we're on a promotional tour today. We're going by all the big Asian grocery stores, and we are promoting the concert April 6th at the Eagle Bank Arena, K-pop concert.
Oh, snap, dude. I was at a conference, a blockchain conference in Atlantic City that had a K-pop band. What's the name of the band? Because I don't remember their name, but I might if I have heard it. It was like 12 different girls, and it was just an awesome show. But it was at a blockchain conference in Atlantic City, yeah. And I think I fell in love with K-pop right then and there. I never heard it before, but I guess it only took 12 Asian girls to make me like a type of music, I guess. I don't know.
Ken and his Asian women.
So what have you been up to today, man? Have you talked to anybody about Litecoin? How's the social and interactions been lately with the atmosphere around crypto?
Yeah, because this concert is co-produced, co-presented by...
Oh, you muted yourself.
Litecoin Foundation, and the Ultra VIP, the floor tickets, the front row tickets are only available through Litecoin.
Oh, snap. So wait, so VIP front row tickets exclusively sold only for Litecoin?
Yes, sir.
All right. I mean, that's not something that's really new. I mean, we've seen even cell phone companies like only sell their phones for Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. So to see something like this is pretty cool, man. Like, this is gonna. So, but do you think this may give somebody a bad first impression of Litecoin if they've never used it before? If they have to feel like they go out of their way to get Litecoin just to get their favorite seat?
Well, I actually made a video of email. Video of all the YouTube links on how to buy and also how to purchase the concert ticket on bigneon.com.
So what's the easiest way for somebody that's never gotten Litecoin to get their hands on Litecoin so they can buy that ticket?
So right now we have a little bit of issue, right? Because the easiest way is Coinbase, right? But Coinbase is making you wait 19 days for the coins.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I think that could even be passed down to your bank's fault too, because it takes a long time for them to get the fiat to be able to release that Litecoin. So, you know, it goes deep, man. It's a big problem that we're dealing with.
it is a big problem. And part of the reason I'm doing this is to tackle, you know me, Ken, I don't like theories. I like to go out in the real world and face real world problems and find a way to solve it. So this is part of the problem that I'm facing, where the customers bought Litecoin and it's not released into their wallet for like 19 days. But we are holding their tickets so that when it releases, they can pay for it.
Nice. So all they would have to say is show proof of like the purchase, and to show that it is a pending transaction.
Yes. So on the next, I mean, this is an 8,000 people concert. It's an Eagle Bank George Mason University arena.
Dude, I wish I was there on so many levels.
Yeah. So this is not only, this is just the beginning, but I mean, we have big stars waiting for the next couple of concerts.
Well, Litecoin's been making a lot of moves as far as like the marketing goes. I mean, guys even had Litecoin in the octagon at a major UFC event, and I don't see the momentum slowing down. What I think a lot of people are asking is, where does this money come from? How is Litecoin able to do these things and be able to get these deals like exclusive seats at K-pop events or Litecoin logos on canvases? How is the Litecoin Foundation possible?
So even with the did you hear about the Glory Kickboxing, where
yes.
Litecoin logo is going to be at the center this time of the match?
Oh, wow.
And you'll be able to purchase things at the Glory Kickboxing event with Litecoin. And that was spearheaded by David Schwartz. And this K-pop concert, the CEO is a friend of mine. So I came to him with an idea, and then we decided to co-partner together and put on this event with Litecoin Foundation as partner. And we're no longer a sponsor, we're a partner, and we are receiving sponsorship from different companies. But as far as the funding is concerned, that's something I can't discuss right now. But let's just say whatever Litecoin Foundation does, we do it in the right way. So there would not be any shortcuts.
Got you, bro. Much appreciated, man. We were just talking about basically like the Litecoin role in the future of money. Maybe in an institutional sense, as far as like banking goes and the legacy system. I'm just curious, where do you see Litecoin maybe first playing a role in the industry, the legacy industry, like the banking?
Well, I think Alan is more up to date on that. Ken, I keep it simple, baby. Yeah. I go out and I just do what I do, and I let other people talk about the important and the difficult things, like you and Alan and Satoshi.
He was there before Ken asked that question a minute ago. He was on for a minute, but he decided to bail right after that question. So
yeah, right. So I mean, I guess John just keeps Litecoin looking pretty. I mean, look at that. He's the
John's pretty talented, though. I gotta get. I mean, I actually didn't know this, but I actually learned that John could speak 4 different languages.
So,
hey,
I mean, it's pretty impressive.
At the end of the day, Ken, is this, right? This is how I want to inspire people. I believe true inspiration isn't telling people how to be more like you, but true inspiration is how to allow other people to believe they can do what you do. So my only focus is to go out. Since I'm not smart, I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder. You know, most of these coders don't like to leave their house, right? They like stay behind their computer. Yeah, but somebody's got to go out, and somebody with a passion and a little bit of personality has to go out and actually meet people and talk to businesses. And I believe that's probably the only thing I'm qualified to do, because all these guys are so much more smarter than I am.
First of all, John keeps saying he's not smart. Number one, first of all, there's 2 smarts, right? There's street smarts and book smarts. If I had to pick one for my survival, it'd be street smarts. Number 2, though, every time I see John on podcasts, it's obvious he's his knowledge is growing. I mean, it's
not only wise, but he could probably
we knew
kick
he had
most of
street
our
smarts,
asses.
but the other side's growing, and yeah, it's impressive.
Yo, you know what, John? I think you might need a superhero sidekick next time you go on one of these tours, bro. We should hop in an RV and do like a world tour live stream event, man.
I'm kind of scared, Ken, because I know me and you will be a great superheroes for Litecoin, right? But you smoke too much weed, and sometimes I feel like I'm gonna fall, man. When I'm around something enough, sometimes I may just get into it. So
no, I totally understand.
I know what you're talking about.
How about we set up a proposal for the Litecoin Foundation to fund it, and I'll take a urine test every month to prove I'm not smoking weed.
No. What would Ken be like if he wasn't high all the time? I mean, that's what makes you brilliant.
You don't even want to meet me, bro. I smoked 5 seconds before I got on here. Like, I can't. My anxiety level. I'm not even a social person. I'm not.
Hey, man,
I'm not.
Whatever works.
I got social anxiety, yo. I'd be sweating up a storm right now, worrying about all the eyes on me and stuff, and what I'm gonna say, and how people will replay it and hear it and take it out of context later. And yeah, it's never any fun, man. But dude, I've been to events with you, John, and it's been an amazing time, dude. I've seen you. We went to the bar. We've got to spend crypto on beer together, dude. That was like one of the memories I will hodl forever, and I'll never forget. Sitting at the bar, talking to the bartender. He opens up his wallet. John and me send some crypto when we get some Pabst Blue Ribbon, baby. Like, that was amazing. So great memories.
You know what I like about you, Ken? When I first met you, I was like, who the heck is this guy, right? And whenever you open your mouth, I mean, the wealth of knowledge that you have and what you bring to the table, it's shocking because, let's not lie. Everybody judges a book by its cover in the beginning, right? Even if you don't say it out loud, when you meet somebody, you kind of judge them. You kind of look them up and down and kind of gauge who they are and what you think they are. But what's really incredible is whenever you open your mouth, the knowledge that you have, and not just Bitcoin, but in all aspects of crypto, it made me realize that even anybody in this world, right, has a role in cryptocurrency.
Exactly.
And if you do your due diligence and really study, then whenever you open your mouth, you actually, make sense. You actually know what you're talking about. But I can tell you myself, I'm one of those people, I get things late, but once I get it, I pretty much surpass a lot of people. And I have to work and study maybe 10 times harder than a regular person because I came into this space not even knowing one word of what cryptocurrency was.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go through like hard forks and everything else from exchange hacks to everything. I got to play around with color coins before SegWit and Lightning, and it is a lot to catch up with right now. So don't beat yourself up about that, dude. The
no, but what I'm saying is, Ken,
goes on.
Yeah.
Ken, what I'm saying is, like, people does not realize how much time you actually put in behind the scenes in order for you to be that smart when it comes to crypto and everything that has to do with crypto. So I just want to honor you and tell you that like behind the scenes, I know you put in a lot of work so that when you open your mouth, people get shocked.
Yeah, I like to aim for low expectations, high delivery. Yeah, especially when I'm at a conference and I get on stage and I'm wearing a pink skirt. Everyone's looking at me like, "Wait, what? How'd he get on stage? Is he lost?" And it
makes you sound even smarter.
Well, not just that, it breaks that filter too. Because even if I showed up in a suit, they're gonna be expecting me to fucking know every answer to every problem of their life, and nobody has that. Nobody is an expert in this, and I don't look at this so much as a revolution anymore as I look at it as a renaissance. And I'm just having a damn good time.
If you just show up in a pink skirt and blaze a fatty on stage, your expectations will be really low.
Done it.
Done it. Kill it, dude.
Thanks,
man. Hey, Alan, I got a quiz for you. You ready?
I don't know, but sure.
What did me and Ken come out together on? What famous thing did Ken and John Kim come out together and
like now you're not talking about coming out of the closet.
Yeah, I was like, no,
okay.
we're still in the closet. At least I thought we were.
I'm kidding. Okay.
We were in a song together called Crypto Warriors.
Oh, yes. Yes. I heard that. You guys are famous.
I've heard a few songs with my name in it recently, dude, and it's so humbling. It blows my mind, dude. I love it. I appreciate it.
By the way, if it was the closet thing, I'm totally cool with that because I'm sure.
No, I was like, you know, you made it when somebody mentions you in a song, right?
Yeah, dude, that's how I felt when I was like, somebody at Anarchapulco was singing about me. Omar Bam sends me a clip of somebody singing about me. Said that, how did it kind of go? He's like,
that's the song I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Ken?
Dude, that's
Crypto Warrior.
Yeah,
the way of the Crypto Warrior.
I'm trying to remember the clip of what he said, but I don't want to mislabel it. Guys, go check out the link. Song. Yeah, you got to check out the song, guys. Crypto Warrior.
I've heard it.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's a good song.
And you know what? Shout out to Toby, right? That welcome to the blockchain. I mean, every time I hear that, I know John's heard that song.
Have you checked out Crypto Finally? The girl that does all the crypto YouTube parody videos, like Because I Bought High.
Oh yeah, I guess she came out. Yeah, I haven't heard all of them, but yeah.
Oh, dude, Because I Bought High might be my favorite one, but obviously biased.
I actually went out with her and Cody and had a couple of drinks, and she is a hoot, man. She is so fun.
Well, John, why don't I let you get back to shilling Litecoin and go into Starbucks and demand that they accept Litecoin and tell them that your name is Satoshi Light when they write your name on the cup. Send me a picture of proof.
All right, guys, have fun. I'll see you guys later. See you, Alex.
John's always a good time, man.
You know, it's funny. John a lot of times knocks himself for like, oh, I'm not smart. But yeah, you know, it's crazy. In this space right now, we need everybody. And he's played such a big role in being out there on the front line and really pushing things. You know, before the summit, he did the 30 for 30 tour where he went all over the United States, adoption. And I you know, that was awesome. I mean, that was so, I mean, how many people were doing that? You know, that was such
I kind of did it in my own way, just going to events, but I wasn't being as proactive. And that's why I thought, you know, we might have made a great team if we were together last year, because I went to over 50 different blockchain and crypto conferences. I attended 2 cannabis conferences and 3 sex expos that had very small blockchain or cryptocurrency booths. And then I went to about 5 strictly money events, like Money 2020 and things like that were just basic institutional crap shows.
I remember, I think I saw a picture of your Twitter a long time ago where you had like one photo of all your tickets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Crazy, though. I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
Yeah, this right here.
Crap.
Yeah, this is a few of them. Some of them I actually didn't get tickets for because I snuck in or I got a friend to open a back door. But yeah, this is it, 2018.
You got to wear that to every conference.
I'm starting my next one.
What span of time is that over?
This is just in 2018. Probably, just the whole year I traveled. I didn't stop, but this is just a few. I went to over 50. Some of them were smaller events that didn't have such shiny badges and stuff.
Oh my God, man, you're like a walking badge. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking. Me, John, on the road together, and like you said, I totally appreciate what he said. I am an enthusiast of the cannabis, but there are things that I'd be willing to do for crypto, and I'm not saying, you know, I want to benefit at all. I just would like to go and travel inside, try to get small businesses to accept this currency as a form of a payment process that doesn't take advantage of them. Like American Express with their 4% on transaction fees. You're already disincentivized to start your own business right out of the gate by accepting payments.
And speaking of cannabis, and at least here in California, is if anybody could benefit from this, it's these cannabis shops here in some of these states.
Yeah, they're giant honeypots.
It's the perfect solution for those that are concerned about keeping money, because they're not most of them aren't taking credit cards, and they don't want to worry. If they don't want to worry about having cash on hand, it's a little more private for people that are, you know, want to keep things, you know, they're a little more personal about their cannabis use, whatever they do. It's ideal, and a lot of times that could I could see that, like, you get a company like MedMen or some large chain that
MedMen, I've been trolling them every time I go to Vegas. Yeah, I met the owner in Vegas, and they followed me on Twitter. So shout out to MedMen for following me back. But I'm trying my best to incentivize them to accept crypto because of how much cash they generate and revenue in a day. It's scary. Like, how are they not petrified that that is a bigger target than the bank down the street? They have more money on hand than the bank does. Wells Fargo just said, we don't have $1,000 to give you in cash. Sorry. But people are spending hundreds of at this
I know, it's insane. Not only that, but I think, you know, whether you like it or not, it's cannabis and even the adult industry, things that have often led things to other businesses getting involved. They've often been the ones that break through initially.
Yep.
To push the agenda. So, you know, whatever works, you know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, though. They have every reason to start looking at this as a solution, especially because there is no end to the raids. They're still federally breaking laws, and the FBI is, you know, pretty picky on who they raid, and it's never at a dull moment. They get to keep all the cash and all the cannabis, and there's no repercussions, and there's no recourse for the victim, that is the dispensary owner or employees. And I found out recently, if you're an employee to a dispensary, it's damn near impossible to get a bank account. You just can't get a bank account. Yeah, it's because you can't get direct deposit into it. They don't want your drug money because you work for a federally illegal entity. So your employer is breaking federal law, so the bank doesn't want to bank with you, and that's their choice. It's just weird that this is. And I actually read an article the other day that Philadelphia just passed a bill that's up, and it may pass, that makes it illegal to not accept cash, fiat. They're trying to set these little roadblocks into moving forward past this economic disaster by making it illegal to prepare yourself. You know, so you have to accept cash. It's mandatory.
You actually don't. I actually came across this. There was a coffee shop down in Manhattan Beach that said at some point we're no longer. I think it was going to accept cash, and at least in most states it's actually legal. You're not required to accept cash.
Right, they're trying to make it so it is legal, though, to have to.
Yeah, I don't know. That's good luck with that. I mean, I don't know if it's a state thing or not, but yeah, I mean, but you know, it's kind of like, fine, let them fight, and meanwhile, crypto's making advances and other things, and in the meantime, whether, you know, okay, this bank's not going to let you have a bank account because you work for a cannabis shop, which is ridiculous, but in the meantime, as we see crypto moving forward, you know, hopefully those things will be non-issues at some point, right? So,
well, speaking about it moving forward, let's segue back a little bit. We can kind of leap from the institutional side of the future of money and get more to the residential, retail investor, or mom and pop, or, you know, just noobs in general, the plebes of the financial world. Where do you see Litecoin as a role in the future of money for the average person, or the average, you know, maybe not even an investor, just you know, a regular consumer or employee of, you know, the economic world?
Yeah, I think Litecoin is an awesome solution for not only a payment solution, but as something that has real store of value as well. You know, I'm going to go here. I know we were going to chime into the whole maximalism, or, you know, type of thing, and of course there's an argument on both sides here. And
yes,
but you know, I look at, like, first, you know, clearly most people get into space, and Bitcoin's the first thing that they're going to see when they get into space. The space is overwhelming. I mean, you know, and I think, you know, for most people, Bitcoin is the first thing they learn about. But slowly but surely, as they get more involved in the space, they realize what else is out there, and that it's more than just Bitcoin. There are great opportunities for solutions beyond just Bitcoin as a store of value, for payments, for other. I think there's some other cryptocurrencies with promise that are really trying to solve real world solutions in a better way. You know, there's not saying it's the solution for everything, but it's definitely a solution for some things. And payments and store of value is by far probably the greatest. I don't disagree that Bitcoin will probably be, you know, a store of value much before it can ever be a payment solution. There's certainly going to be volatility for a long time. There has to be volatility. You can't have billions of dollars coming into this space from other assets without the volatility. You know, we need the volatility. It's going to be normal. But at the same time, you know, you'll have adoption, you'll have merchants that are slowly growing to accept payments that want to take cryptocurrency. You've got that side of things happening. You want consumers want to pay with cryptocurrency, maybe because they're having issues with banks, or because they just believe in it, or because there's discounts being offered, or whatever it is. And so what happens then? Okay, a lot of people aren't going to want to spend their Bitcoin because they feel that, like for me, my Bitcoin, I feel like it's locked away, but I also like to spend crypto whenever I can. And so when I look at that, I go, what's the closest thing that resembles the properties of Bitcoin and follows along with sort of the Bitcoin philosophy, has the secure elements, has the trust, at least as close to the trust that Bitcoin has and stuff. And I don't think there's anything closer than Litecoin when it comes to that. I think Litecoin not only, they feed off of each other, they benefit each other. And
it's the benefit of their legacy that really stabilizes that too. You can't beat that without a time machine. The legacy is there.
It is, and exactly, that's part of it. It's not only one of the oldest out there, but it's one of the most. It's got one of the, outside of Bitcoin, one of the largest development networks behind it, one of the greatest communities behind it. It's on all the key exchanges. It's one of the most liquid cryptocurrencies. It has these small tweaks above and beyond Bitcoin that do make it even more ideal as a payments currency. It's a little bit faster and so forth, without compromising too much from a security standpoint. And if you're looking like I would at Bitcoin being that store of value, but I still want to spend cryptocurrency, Litecoin is a clear choice. And for me, for me, I generally like to spend it, and then I'll also usually try and buy the same amount back, because I also feel Litecoin is a great store of value in itself, and there's real potential to the upside long term, as I believe it will work with Bitcoin and follow Bitcoin, hopefully to much higher levels. So to spend it and replenish it is a great way to do both, put it out there in the system and do those things. But I feel a little more comfortable spending it than I would, say, Bitcoin. And ultimately, if enough vendors adopt and the systems and infrastructure are in place, then I don't buy into the argument that it's just going to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin can also be a great medium of exchange at some point. You can use both. I don't buy into the argument it has to be just one. I think that it'll be driven by customers, vendors, systems. I like to think sometimes things often come in pairs. It's like the dollar and change,
yes.
Apple and Samsung. They're good for each other. They feed each other.
Yeah, it prevents monopolies.
Litecoin, the testing Litecoin has done, it's really important. You can't, it's because you're testing on a real blockchain where, when you're trying new things, you need real money because you want to make sure it's not hackable and other things. So Litecoin has been a great test case for Bitcoin, and that in itself, I think, is really important, and it will continue, because I think we're going to need those things as we move on in the future. But at the same time, Litecoin's also finding ways to tweak itself. We're talking about not only the things that it already has, but confidential transactions is one of the things to make it potentially even more ideal when it comes to certain things about that maybe Bitcoin doesn't adopt at some point. We don't know.
Yeah, it may or may not. That's one of the things I found the most fascinating about Litecoin when I first started really looking at it under a microscope, that it leads the way for Bitcoin in some senses. It has done so with Lightning and SegWit, and I do believe that if the privacy works out for Litecoin and is implemented correctly and executed properly, and people start really using it, there's volume to it. People are actually preferring this private on-chain thing or whatever that Litecoin may be doing with this. It is possible for Bitcoin Core developers to be encouraged by this and incorporate it as well. And, I kind of always seen Litecoin as, sort of like that showboating little brother. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the older brother of the family, but my little brother's the fucking prima donna, and he goes to school and gets all these, awards, and, he's the honor roll student, and everybody loves this guy. He's perfect. And And that's sort of how I kind of like feel about Litecoin a little bit. Like Bitcoin's so underappreciated because how great Litecoin kind of works at what it does. And I think that they complement each other really well. When you have a store of value and medium of exchange, one kind of affects the other in weight. So if you're more store of value than medium of exchange, or more medium of exchange than store of value, you may have, you know, more friction in one direction than the other. And sometimes I don't want to spend my Bitcoin because I'm thinking Bitcoin may go up more, may go up faster. And I spend my silver, you know, instead of my gold, my Litecoin, and it moves faster. It just feels better. And I'm much more comfortable using it to send smaller transactions than I am right now using Litecoin or Bitcoin's Lightning channel. It's still not the best personally. Like if I wanted to send you like 50 cents in crypto, I'm not going to try to talk you through how to set up a Lightning channel when I could just say, here, open up a Litecoin wallet, sent.
Yeah, think of the newcomers that come into space. They're not going to even, I mean, it's, even the word Lightning is going to be over their head. I mean, it's overwhelming as it is, right? So keeping it as simple as possible.
Wait till we get Nimble Wimble. It's going to bring all the Harry Potter fans in. You know, all the Harry Potter fans are going to come in like, I know what that is. It's magic.
Yeah, so I absolutely agree. I think, you know, they're good. They complement each other. And, you know, is there a small amount of, you know, does one compete with the other to some small extreme? Possibly. But for the most part, I think they're good for each other. And I just don't buy into the space that there has to be one or the other, because it's for the people to decide. And I think, like I mentioned before the show, the whole idea of maximalism, the whole idea that, you know, with maximalism, it's decentralization is extremely important, but there can only be one blockchain and one form of money that's acceptable is kind of ironic. I mean,
it's so toxic is what it is.
It makes no sense, right? So it's either decentralization or it's not. And if it's
centralized decentralization, there's a difference.
Yeah,
that's what.
So you know, but hey, if to each their own, whatever they want to believe, it's, you know, it's not. They're not good. I mean, ultimately, we as a society will make those decisions. But we are making progress. I mean, within Litecoin, I mean, we're making progress. We're doing a lot of things, you know, from getting the word out, publicity, adoption, you know, tweaking the crypto, working on tweaking the cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I saw Charlie tweeted out, I think, a photo of Cyborg wearing or no, that was Edge. Who was it that was, oh, the fighter, what's his name? Andy, what's that fighter's name?
You're talking about Ben?
Ben, is that him? Ben, the guy who's the fighter who was wearing the Litecoin shirt in his signing?
Askin. Yeah, Askin. Yeah, he was wearing the Litecoin. Yeah.
Oh, it's Askin. Yeah, I don't watch
Askin.
I don't watch much fighting because crypto has consumed my entire freaking life. But I did see that tidbit from that, and I didn't even see it from the crypto world. It was one of my friends that's a UFC fan sent me it and was like, "Dude, check this out." And I was like, "Yeah, that's Charlie Lee." And I was like looking at the box, like, "Oh, it's a UFC fighter." I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, this is really neat." I think that, you know, that's how this is going to happen. You know, the one thing Bitcoin's kind of sucks at the most is marketing. It doesn't have marketing, and we've seen counter extremist marketing from Bitcoin Cash. It's calling, you know, Bitcoin Cash to real Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Core is, you know, a scam or whatever and you know, they have the funding to kind of bash Bitcoin. And I don't know, it's just it's good to see that, you know, Litecoin does its own thing without ever bashing Bitcoin. It has never, the community has never tried to say Litecoin will be the next Bitcoin, or it's always been a compliment. And I think that that's sort of why even most Bitcoin maximalists don't hate much on Litecoin.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't watch too many of the fights myself. There's so much, you know, going on myself, but I think it's good. It's great to it's great ways to get the word out, you know, with publicity and right now, at least in the space. And, you know, in a lot of this, you know, it's important to remember, like any kind of, a lot of the fundraising we do, you know, we talked, I think you asked a question earlier about where the money comes. You know, obviously through donations from the foundation, but also our community. We've gone out there and raised money. I believe with Ben Askren, we raised some money, you know, or for him. And I don't know all the specifics, but it was community driven. You know,
like a bounty. We want to get Ben as a sponsor. Yeah. How do we do this and raise?
Exactly. It was everybody, you know, deciding to participate. It wasn't, you know, we're not, you know, not a specific sponsorship or anything like that by any means. And he actually, when I, you know, listening to him talk, smart guy. I mean, he not only believes in Litecoin, but when he talks about cryptocurrency, he's right on. And
I imagine he hodls too. I wouldn't expect
I'm
him
sure he
to be a guy who kind of cashes out. I don't see that, but I mean, it would be cool to see his public address for the confirmation of what he was paid, and then we can just follow that to see if he ever dumps on us.
Then, yeah, but it could also be moving money to another store. It's
yeah, that's true too.
Know, but,
yeah.
But I think he's a true believer. He's not. I don't think he's looking short term, is what I gather. So
what's the roadmap for Litecoin in 2019 as far as progress for the actual blockchain goes? I know I've seen the talks of the privacy implementation, but I mean, curious, what are your thoughts on Litecoin going private and becoming a privacy coin?
Yeah, I mean, my first question was like, will that affect the ability to, will that be a concern with exchanges or things like that? I guess the general feeling was it probably wouldn't be. We're already on all the key exchanges. And I think it came down to like there being, and I'm not really on that side. I couldn't, when it comes to the privacy technicals, that there are better people to talk to. But I do believe it came down to like there's different levels of privacy. So you could take it to different levels. Into what level, it goes to, I'm not sure, but I do believe that there's real value to having that, to make it a true great cryptocurrency for payments, for store value, to offer that. I don't know. I can't comment on, to what level or when things will be rolled out. And of course, keep in mind too, this is all ultimately the community has to decide, right? So it's not, people sometimes mistake the Litecoin Foundation is the deciding factor, but it's not. We're there to help promote, for the benefit of Litecoin to society.
Yeah, there's no developers that could be hired or fired that
exactly.
are like told this is exactly what you have to do. Litecoin Foundation is more of an open suggestion box.
Absolutely, and there's a great, there's amazing volunteers that are working hard, on various things behind the scenes. In fact, so many things I don't even know. So I mean, there's so many things going on.
Have you been playing around at all with the Lightning on with Litecoin?
I haven't in a little while, but actually, so when I first got involved with the foundation, Andrew Yang had been there for a little while, I think a couple of months before, and he reached out and asked if anybody wanted to help him build a manual to set up a Litecoin network on a Mac, and I was like, sure. So I worked with them on this project to put it together. So I set one up on my Mac as a node, as a Lightning Network node. So occasionally I'll run it here and there, but that's the extent I got involved so far with that. And mainly for me, I've just been so slammed with projects as a volunteer working on last year asked to help with the sponsorships and end up running that. And of course that was our first event. That was for the summit.
That was an awesome event, man. Like, bro.
You know what? People don't realize this was put on 100% by volunteers, and this was our first event, and in a not so fantastic market. And I think it was great. We had good quality, at the show.
For sure, I do. Some of my favorites. Cool Wallet S. These guys here.
They sold a lot of those.
I got one shill nigh. I never got the Litecoin one, by the way. I bought 3, and when I got home, they were all the originals. They said they sold out of the Litecoin ones and didn't tell me. And then I got to hang out with the Gemini booth and talk to them about the incorporation of Litecoin into their exchange. And dude, they were just hell excited
during the summit, which was great.
Yeah, they were so stoked to and. They actually followed me on Twitter after I talked to them at their booth. So fingers crossed on a Winklevi interview. I know if I was at South by Southwest, I could have got it because I talked to the Gemini team and I love what they're doing. The only thing I don't appreciate is the whole, we love regulations. Give us regulations. I don't want any of that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't want regulations to determine where the technology goes. The technology will determine what the regulations can enforce.
Yeah. It's interesting though. They were doing some things like I don't know if you saw so BlockFi, which is something they just announced recently. You can with a few key cryptocurrencies like Litecoin one, you could, if you wanted some, you could use that as collateral to borrow against. So they're doing 2 things. If you own Bitcoin or Ether, you can use it as a savings account where you can lock it up for whatever period of time you want, earn interest. On the flip side, if you want to loan you can actually use not only Bitcoin and Ethereum, but you can actually use Litecoin, and they'll give you up to a 50% loan to value on it at a certain rate. I think it depends on the loan to value and so forth. Now, I don't know a lot about their details. I can't speak for, how safe and secure. I do know they are working with Gemini though, as far as the storage goes and things like that. So that's interesting. But what I do think is at least promising is that the fact that they think highly enough of Litecoin to use that as one of the 3 coins as collateral for your money, because they're not going to hold something as collateral and give you a loan on your money that they don't think is worth it.
Right.
So, there's some I think that's a good, that shows a lot about, the strength of Litecoin, the continued growth of Litecoin's credibility. And it's interesting. I think we'll see more and more lending options for people that want to, maybe they can't qualify for traditional financing or something.
No, it's happening. They're popping up all over. Celsius Network and Uphold, I think even has one. Meadow, I think. There's Salt, if Salt is still a thing. I have my suspicions.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. But I think we'll see more advanced solutions and more. We still need to get to that place where people feel comfortable and secure. But if if you're truly storing for long term and you can make some interest on your holdings, why not?
Right. No, that's what I'm doing right now with like Celsius. I use the Monarch wallet. I have Celsius. I put my cryptocurrency there and I earn 5 to 7% a week. And that's because they're charging somebody else 9%. That's a little high. It's a little it's a little high for them. I don't take out loans. I just put my money up because it's just sitting there on my hardware wallet doing nothing. And that's what when I say the future of money, I do think about more than just, being your own bank and saying, oh, I have private keys, I have my own money, it's my money, and I have it now. Like, this isn't a J.G. Wentworth freaking commercial. Like, when you're talking about being your own bank, I want you to be able to take your money and make money out of that money for having money. And that's what a bank does. A bank takes your money, it makes money out of the money for it being money. Yeah. Why can't we do that when we be our own bank? And that's where the future of this money is
it's
going.
Similar to having a stock that pays a dividend.
Exactly.
Plus a lot of people aren't going to use. A lot of people that are investing right now in this Bitcoin are investing for the future. They're not going to use their Bitcoin.
It's just sitting there doing nothing.
So I think we'll get to that place where there's definitely it feels more people are comfortable to do that. And you're doing it, and you feel. You're obviously comfortable enough to loan.
I've met both CEOs of the company, of the platforms I use. So if anything ever happened to my crypto, I know their faces enough. I never met the CEO of BitConnect. So there was problems there. Plus, you're sure as hell not making 40% a month on anything right now that's legit. And I think 7%.
No, there's always a red flag. Anytime, like with stocks, and I've been in stocks for many, many years, and anytime
how do you
see something.
Can I ask you a question? It's hard to interrupt, but it totally just brought up a real thought that I've had about this. What role does STOs have for retail investors in the stock market? Like, what the fuck is a average Joe that invests in stocks incentives to look at an STO and go, oh, I can't wait for this? Like, they're already investing in stocks. What incentives are there for a retail investor when it comes to these security tokens? Is there any? I'm not an investor in a traditional sense, so I don't know if it's appealing to a traditional investor or if it's not. Like, what are these?
You mean from somebody that owns stock? That's somebody that owns
stocks? That has nothing to do with crypto. Does a security token have any benefit to a traditional investor? Like when we're talking about these STOs instead of an IPO?
I suppose, well, it depends on the investor. There's a lot of investors that still haven't, are stuck, they're comfortable with stocks. They feel more secure. If you're not going to, crypto is crypto, and if they either kind of want to be in it or not. Although what's interesting is I was just talking to a guy that I see almost every day when I take my dog out to this dog park, and he's done very well in investing. And, for him, he's done so well, and he's afraid to get into crypto because he knows it's going to be worth something, but it's a big black hole the minute he starts it.
Yeah, it is.
But he gave his son $5,000 to invest. So the first thing is someone out and bought his crypto, Bitcoin. And it's the younger generations who are definitely growing up, and they're not as interested in the stock market. They're interested in cryptocurrency and those things. So I think we're going to see a big shift. I was actually in Santa Monica at this interesting kind of event. This company that they're offering, they're taking real estate and they're basically sectioning it up into digital shares. So if you're an owner, if you own some real estate, you could basically cut up your real estate, offer X amount, a certain percentage of it, slice it up into how many shares you want, and sell it via, kind of like similar to a stock. And people can, you can buy that way. And it's a way for owners to raise money. And they can have, the deal is that they can retain a certain amount they want for themselves. They could buy it back. But it's one interesting option where, with real estate, and I'm a broker. I've been in real estate business for about 20 years, but I think this is pretty fascinating. Like, where we can go with real estate when it comes to digitizing
well,
assets.
that's a lot of people don't understand that Bitcoin and Litecoin and these cryptocurrencies aren't just money. They are programmable money. They are lines of code that you can put shit on top of. I could put the deed to my house on a Satoshi of a Litecoin and sign it with the private key, encrypt it, lock it, and now the deed to this domicile is on a open ledger, decentralized blockchain that I have the keys to. I have the proof of access to my house. So if you want to buy my house, I can just send you that private key. The house is yours instantly. You got the deed. It's yours. I got to get out of here today. So it makes these physical transactions just as frictionless as the digital transactions. And a lot of people don't see the potential in crypto that utilizes these programmable money codes. Like, what do you see as a use case then for like Litecoin as opposed to Bitcoin in a programmable money sense?
As far as when you say programmable money,
well, I think with Bitcoin we have rootstock, smart contracts are coming, things like that.
I think that could be with Litecoin too. I think Litecoin is certainly offers anything that's considered a strong store of value is going to be something I think is good. I expect they would both be good for that. I don't think a lot of people see, because I don't think we've even seen like I don't think we've even touched the surface of what we'll see down the road on what we can use, this cryptocurrency for and how we can apply it to things. And, real estate is just on the, we're just breaking the surface when it comes to that. Right. But like you said, you can secure your home, but also people that maybe don't have as much money, they can't afford to buy a whole property. They can buy now, instead of just buying into a REIT or buying, this stock or that, you can buy real estate another way. You can buy fractional ownership.
Do you know this has happened in New York City today?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do you know in New York City this has already happened up to this day? You can invest in one of their skyscrapers. It's a tokenized building that you can buy pieces of brick in, basically getting physical equity in the skyscraper or the hotel even. It's pretty cool. It's actually happening, and it's happening in New York City of all the friggin' places. They basically did an ICO to build the hotel.
That's awesome, and I think that we'll see. I'm not surprised, and I think we'll probably see more. We're going to see more and more of that. The other thing too, I've noticed in real estate, especially here in LA, there is so many. I mean, there's a ton of money that comes in, not only from here but from overseas. Not only buying first homes, but buying second homes, third homes, real estate investment properties, rentals and things like that, vacation homes, and I think a big part of that, especially with a lot of money overseas, is because they need to park their money into something that's secure. Because if they're going to hold on to whatever their fiat currency is, the chances are it's going to lose value over time, because as we know, the money continues to be printed. So they go, what is another secure? Where can I park my money so that tomorrow it's not worth a fraction of what it's worth today? So you end up seeing all these people buying second homes, third homes, things like that. That's about the only option that I think has really been there. Maybe a few others up until recently. And I think with Bitcoin, that it could truly offer a real store of value as another solution for that. So it's not only is something where, you can use as a currency, but as a store of value that could potentially move some of that money that's gone into real estate and other things back into a new asset class that now has another store of value where you can truly not have to worry about your money losing value. I'm not talking about the volatility short term. We know that's going to happen, but the bigger picture of things,
Right.
And because there's so much money right now that I see being parked into these, second, third properties and things like that.
Even
if it takes a little bit of that money from these other assets, just a little bit of it, we're going to see a massive, that can move the markets massively. So
yeah, we get like 1 or 2% of the oddity investors, the people that already invest in odd shit today, like the penny stocks and random things. There's investors out there that just grab random stuff, but it's in the traditional sense. They're the oddity investors. But we get a couple of those guys over in crypto. This is finite stuff. It isn't infinite. We have a very fixed supply of a lot of these tokens that are out there. But one of the things I like to talk to.
But I was curious about your thought there, not to get off track, but when you made a good point, we have a fixed supply, we have a lot of tokens. And I think that, I don't think there's any question that's taken some of the money away from, a lot of the money away from Bitcoin, but we can come back on track. It's just an interesting thing too.
Well, I don't think any cryptocurrency competes with Bitcoin any more than any fiat currency or anything else. If Pokemon cards made $4 billion in sales, they didn't take $4 billion away from Bitcoin, in my opinion.
Agree, but I think it's a process for a lot of people to understand some of that, and I think that's maybe blurring the market a little bit short term. At least I do believe Bitcoin and some other strong currencies like Litecoin will ultimately separate themselves from a lot of these, and so forth. I think right now still a lot of people are hoping to get larger percentages of these other currencies. I think a lot of that so they could put it back into Bitcoin, maybe make higher gains in hopes of buying more Bitcoin. But I believe that'll separate at some point. It might take a couple more runs. I don't know, but yes, not to get off topic.
No, it's fine, man. It's fine.
It's interesting though, because, and not to knock, there are some other great, interesting concepts out there and things.
I was just going to bring up what your thoughts are on like masternodes as a real estate investor. I talked to a lot of real estate investors about basically the concept, the cookie cutter concept of real estate investing and being a homeowner that rents out and takes loans on the property's value while you're also getting rent from your tenants monthly to then get your third or fourth house based on the house's value, but you don't even have access to the house because you're renting it to somebody who's paying you to live there. So you're getting money hand over fist as a real estate investor if you're fucking doing it right? Obviously 20 years you've been doing things and investing pretty well, but when I talk to these people about investing in crypto, the first thing I actually do, I don't even really bring up Bitcoin because it's not something that they can relate to. I bring up things like Dash, Shill, Dash, hate me or love me, but I bring it up to the real estate investors, the retail investors, because I think that they can see it more like a masternode having a house, and the dividends is the rent. And then they have these platforms that they can take loans out based on how much Dash they have. Things like, they could eventually be using Celsius network. And now, there's just a lot of things that you can relate to as a traditional investor in this that makes sense when you transition in. I'm just wondering, what are some of your conversations like with some of the real estate or retail investors that don't quite get crypto? How does it kind of go, and where do you see like their mindset when you're talking to them about it?
Are you talking about real estate related or just?
Yeah, like in general, like retail or real estate investors, trying to talk to them about like investing in this new, like, because I can buy digital land right now on Decentraland, and I can own property, I can own a digital fake house, but I have the private key to it, and I can rent it out to somebody who wants to live in my digital world.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I'm actually really excited for the possibilities in real estate, like you said, right? Like I have some rentals, and sure, I can get, if the value goes up, I can always do a refi on it, pull out some money, buy another property. It's a credit process. There's a whole process involved. The idea of doing it, digitizing my asset and doing those things, is interesting. Obviously you want to be careful with leverage and things like that. Crypto's more volatile.
Yeah, you don't want to get liquidated when you're talking about houses.
Yeah. So, but it's also, there's, in some ways it's more secure by having your crypto tied up. I don't think the loan to values will be nearly as high and things like that because of the volatility, but I think that's might be a safer play. I don't think a lot of people that I talk to in real estate are at that level yet. They're just getting involved like with crypto. I think it's more of like on the surface, like buying or selling a house with Bitcoin. I actually was talking to an agent that she had told me she sold 5 homes last year with Bitcoin. And it wasn't the seller, it was the buyer that wanted to pay with Bitcoin. And she actually had to go and convince the sellers to take it. And granted, a lot of these sellers converted it, but when they immediately, but I think she said a couple of them kept some of it. And the whole idea that the buyers were driving that and demanding it were pretty cool. And I actually talked to, at the same event, there was a title company escrow officer that were handling the transaction, and they were Chicago title, I think, or I believe it was. And they were able to handle the entire transaction. They're still working out more of the details, but they did these as a test case, and they did a complete transaction with Bitcoin, and that's pretty awesome.
Wow, so, dude, that is amazing.
That'll happen more. Escrow is a big part of real estate. That part needs to, I actually think blockchain could be, when we talk about escrow services, right? They're a third party. They're basically giving out they take the buyer side, the seller side, and they're basically generating the instructions for both parties and executing the instructions on behalf of both parties. They're not biased towards one side or another. Think about blockchain, smart contract solutions that could be, escrow type solutions could be pretty fascinating. They could be automated, right? Because now you've got a true neutral third party that can maybe automate some of these escrow instructions that have to be done by people. So, and give more security that way. So
right, a lot less biasness, a lot less middlemen. We have. I think smart contracts will replace a lot of the things, especially I think like probably the first will be notaries. I really feel like we need to just abolish the ideology of what a notary is. It's bullshit. It doesn't really hold up. Even if you pay to get a fucking something notarized, then you have to still fight and prove that like if I sold you something like a baseball card and it turns out to be stolen, but you bought it through a notarized transaction, good luck proving. I can say that's not my. So but if I have a public address that is my incoming pay address or whatever from my employer, that is the private key I use to sign a message to notarize something through a smart contract. A smart contract says sign a message with your most active public address that's verified through any means. Coinbase, Gemini, anywhere that does KYC. Use an exchange address from there. Send us a message. Then you sign it, and then that smart contract does all the work. And the problem is with this is this is too disruptive. People don't want to lose their jobs. People love the idea of working. They have been programmed and manipulated into being proud to have to be a slave. Like, you have to work. You're not allowed to live in the woods for free. That's loitering. You're not allowed to ask for money for help. That's solicitation. You're not allowed to hunt deer and fish for fish and eat with your knowledge and your own hard work without paying for a license that gives you the permission. You're not allowed to exist on this planet Earth without working. And people are like, I work hard. I work 40 hours a week, and they're proud of it. And that's what fucking prevents us from innovating and moving forward. I want to replace your job. I don't want you to have to shovel horse shit for a living. I can make a fucking robot to do that. The problem is you're so proud of your job and you're afraid to not have one that you don't let the world innovate it into obsolescence. And that's what's happening. We see with McDonald's employees who think asking me if I want fries with that is a fucking essential job. It's not. I don't care if you don't have a job doing that anymore. Nobody has a job delivering milk door to door. That doesn't happen. I go to the supermarket now. That guy's out of a job.
Dude, you need to get on, number one, you need to get on stage more, because that's some great shit right there.
I've been on a few.
Ditch the pink skirt, because you're telling it like it is. But it's a process, it's like anything. People are afraid of change. It's the Matrix,
dude. They don't want to wake up. They really don't. They're so comfortable with the 9-to-5 shit. And, every time because I haven't had a job in over a year thanks to crypto. I got to travel the fucking world thanks to crypto. I owe my entire mindset now.
This is a job, put it, what you're doing.
You couldn't pay me to do this. I do it for free. And if you offered me money, I probably wouldn't even had this conversation. That's how little I want to work.
A little bit of weed might be a different story.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, that's bartering. That's different. Anyway, Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue 4.
I hear you. I've been so excited about this space that I've literally not let the focus go on my real estate, and I've seen it suffer, because I've been more. When I wake up in the morning, it's crypto that gets me more excited. That's I've kind of put myself in this position, obviously, but I'm more excited about it. And obviously, I think there's ways to merge the two. And course, I'm still working with real estate, but it's hard. It's weird because real estate brings in great money, can bring in great money. Crypto doesn't always bring in that money initially. I mean, your investments you believe will ultimately pay off very well.
Right.
But in the meantime, it's more also about what you're passionate about, what you're excited about, and
yeah. Sometimes you're
maybe at a certain age in my life, I decided, I want to do something that's, I've been able to do that, right, and make that transition and not worry about the tomorrow and not worry so much about
right.
Some of the things. I made some investments and things, but it's not easy for a lot of people because most people do have to make sure you could feed yourselves and your family, and and then making any kind of change is scary.
Yeah.
Plus, there's still a lot of crap out there in media out there that trying to sell a different story about crypto and everything else.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. That's sort of like a centralized echo chamber that they have, right? All that is centralized to the governments or countries of origin. So everything negative, being said in the U.S. only really refrains or affects the U.S. Like the SEC doesn't affect the rest of the world when they go and talk about raising capital using STOs or ICOs or anything else. It's only affecting us here in the U.S. It's a very small effect that it has on the world of crypto. So even when you see some of that naysay, I love when I see it, because then 3 months later or whatever, you see something bigger, better happening in another country, and you can point at the brain drain right there. This is why this company left the U.S., or this is why this company went in and developed over here, and it starts to really kind of make, I think, an impression on governments and the mainstream media to talk more about the actual progress than the doom porn that they like to promote. It's over. ICO market ended. There's no more doom porn to promote. This is the the new age.
Get exhausted, I guess.
Yeah,
I put out a little quick short video the other day, just from my own experience. I've gone through many. I've been a long-term. Generally, I've always been taking more of a long-term approach, and I've been through many of these market cycles, and all this fear and FUD and crap and noise, and I generally, it's not always easy, but you build thicker skin and you learn to kind of look back. And I'm not a day trader. I'd be horrible at it. So but I feel like longer term, what I've done with my own personal investments, the outcome has been far greater than had I tried to time, or had I been scared out by some news article or somebody. Right. And one of the things I mentioned in this little video, and this is so true, is that so many people that put out these articles and are analysts that come out with something don't even have any money in the game. It's like there's a huge difference between putting your money where your mouth is and not. I mean, because I guarantee some of these guys that say get out of something or short something, if they actually had the money to do it, they probably wouldn't do it. So, take things sometimes for what they're worth. I mean, I know, but it's easy for people to not, to get scared and stuff like that. But I think it's important to always remember why you got in this space, take a long-term, bigger picture of things. No, it's going to be choppy. It's going to be volatile. But I mean, I don't know I can't speak for everybody, but I'm so encouraged. I mean, every day I'm more excited. I see more happening in the space, and it becomes just, inevitable that this is going to be something great. And it's just a matter of time.
I mean, every day there's some major leap of innovation happening on some blockchain somewhere, and it has ripple effects across the network that, it all, like rising tide raises all ships, and that's the technological advancements in crypto. Not so much, I don't worry so much about like the value and fiat of crypto right now. That's not what I mean. Yeah. I mean like the technological advancements.
Yeah, that's a good.
I never looked at it really like that. I tried to be an investor, and the institutional world told me no, I'm not allowed to be an investor. I wanted to invest in an IPO, and they said no. So I waited for it to go public. I invested when it went public, and I lost like 80% of my money over fucking night. And the institutional investors that were allowed into the IPO were still up over double the initial investment for the IPO on the open market. So everybody that got screwed was the public that was allowed to buy. I mean, they didn't sell all those stocks to themselves. They dumped it on me and everybody that was allowed in when the market opened. So I got a pretty big vendetta. And actually, I got into crypto not as an investment, but as a currency opt-out. I opted out of fiat. I'm not using this fiat stuff anymore. And I was going to go to gold and silver, but then I found Bitcoin and Litecoin, and I was just like, oh, well, this is easier. So I kind of like, I went all in. Like
it has all the things gold and silver have, but it also has some additional valuable components. I love it. Like, I think Tim Draper made that, Tim Draper a while back, when I think Bitcoin was 300, he predicted it was going to hit 10K at 2017. I'm sure people thought he was crazy, and it hit it. He gave his new prediction, I think recently, about 250,000 in a few years. But he made an interesting comment. He said, I think it was him that said, I only want to own enough fiat for the next 5 years because that's all I think I will need. In other words, at some point there, you're not going to need it,
Yeah, I stopped even valuing. Do you even value your crypto in fiat anymore? Or do you kind of like pair it to Bitcoin or Litecoin? Do you like value your portfolio and how much Litecoin it's worth?
It's getting to that. I think I'm in that transition. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I'm every day I feel like that it's transitioning into where that's
an honest answer. I can appreciate that.
I keep thinking to myself. So here's the thing with me. I've taken I've been invested in real estate and in stocks for many years, and got into crypto early 2017, and I started dabbling into Bitcoin and Litecoin, and then a few other things that I think have some promise on a smaller scale. Slowly but surely, I'm slicing this side off to get into this side, and there's a part of me that just wants to just go freaking balls deep on this stuff. But it's like, and I'm not saying I'm not, but I mean I could do even that much more in it because I believe I believe what Tim Draper said. At some point, I probably hopefully won't need that fiat, and I believe in the longer term. But there's it's like anything. You want to find a little bit of balance.
I feel like 5 years might be too far out. I think it might be a little bit sooner.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I mean, we think it's far out, but things can happen exponentially.
Yeah, exponential S-curve, man. We have a technology advancement right now that's like a nitroglycerin in the tank of technology. We could take off over fucking night. We were for a while in a lack of developers, right? But now, since the ICOs are done, all the developers are released back into the fucking wild. They're out of their 6-figure a month captivity.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, like you just said, in 2017, the price went way ahead of development. No question. Now, though, I feel development has gone far ahead of where price is. And it's like this slingshot effect. I feel like it's only a matter of time where the price will catch up to the value we've created today. And I think we will have things will start moving. And then, it'll be like this double roll effect where the more people every day though, like a friend the other day called me that was against it, didn't like the idea. He's well off. He's like, tell me about this again. Yesterday he called me. It's like every other day I get more people asking me about it. So I see things changing with people, I see things happening. The only question I don't know about is like when we have these crazy rips, now we have like vehicles where you can short against it, like futures and things like that. That doesn't mean it won't, I believe it'll keep going up and it's stronger in the long term, but will that keep, crazy rips in check or not? I don't know.
It depends, right? I see a lot of money to be made by institutional wealth to bet against things like Litecoin, because I could make a prediction that Litecoin will go down, and then I could hedge the profits on that, take some other money, buy Litecoin OTC, dump it on the market, and cause the prediction I betted on the futures, which is I maybe lost 10% doing the OTC to market dump, but the 30% I made in the futures bet, outweighs that. And that's what happened as soon as they started making paper gold and having being able to trade gold doesn't actually exist, right? Like there's more gold ownership than gold exists today in this era. It is insanity. And they're trying to do that with Bitcoin. They're trying to create ways for Bitcoin to be owned so many more times than Bitcoin is readily available.
Yeah. I think there's some talk about like when you lend and if those lenders are using your Bitcoin to use for other things and how it's actually being used, and is it used beyond what the supply is to some extent? I'm not sure about the details there, but yeah, but it certainly will keep things in check a little bit. I don't think they'll be able to do quite to the extreme that what you could do with stocks and things. But yeah, there's always new vehicles being created, right? There's money to be made on both sides for people, and market makers make their money in stocks too, and they make it on movements, whether it goes one way or another. But I think it'll ultimately still be inevitable that as we're seeing progress every day, and I'm still looking longer term. Like I think Warren Buffett said, and I realize he's not into crypto, and this has nothing to do with that, but I think he made a good comment about, short term that the market's a voting machine, long term it's a weighing machine. Short term it's all about emotion and who's the most popular and things like that. But long term value will drive where we go.
It was funny seeing a lot of long-term investors getting in 2 years ago saying, and I did the same thing. Like most of the coin I bought, I put away for 5 years. It's just, I don't want to sell it. I don't want to trade it. I ain't trying to short it. And that's why I'm moving it more so to like Celsius network so I can get some interest on it. But other than that, I wasn't worried about it. Like the day I bought my first Bitcoin, I was like, 5 years from now, I'm gonna be rich. Like I wasn't worried about 6 months. I wasn't worried about a year, 2 years, 3 years. I'm still about a year and a half away, 2 years away from that point. And I believe the next halvening will greatly affect this in an institutional manner where they don't quite understand what this stuff means. Like when we use terminologies like halving, they don't understand that means there's going to be half of this readily available through each mining reward, which affects the supply and demand ratio. Less in the supply, more in the demand increases value. It's just basic economics. It's quick math, and I think once they start to learn the basics of this, as investors like yourself, moved in gradually after seeing it and saying, oh, it's still here, it must be, because before you invested $1 into this, you probably spent thousands of hours of your own time into it, which is worth, you probably invested more time that was worth more money than you invested money into it, right? Like that's what it comes down to. Is your time worth investing into doing your own due diligence before you even invest into something financially? And it's starting to get to that point.
Absolutely. And I think everybody needs to do that to some extent. I mean, there's so much, there's solid information out there. Take the time. I mean, research these things, understand what you're getting into. I think
I also preach the opposite of what he's saying, by the way, everybody, but I don't disagree with you. But
what's that?
I'm speaking to the average person, like myself, a high school dropout that loves to smoke weed. I actually don't think you should do any due diligence. Fuck it. Don't.
Okay.
Don't. Did you read a book on how to ride a bike? Did you watch YouTube videos on how to ride a bike? Or did you sit on a bike and risk busting your head open if you fucked up? And that's kind of what I want some people to do. Put $10 into Bitcoin or Litecoin.
No, but I think it depends on the level of maybe. I mean, I wasn't putting that kind of the kind of money you're putting into things.
Right,
too.
but that's for people.
That's just the nature of like it's worked. I feel like it's.
But some people will never understand this, no matter how much time they put.
I don't understand. There's so much. I mean, there's so much to understand. I'll never understand everything.
Some people might get scared away doing their own due diligence, though, right? Like they may not. I didn't know how much I didn't know about Bitcoin until I started learning about Bitcoin, and then I learned I actually don't know anything because it's so vast.
I think these people that bought because they were fear of missing out. Of course, they didn't spend any time researching, and then of course things crash and. I always think it's good to and I'm sure you're doing every day, you learn more and more. For me, it's important. Like I initially put time, and actually every day is like I feel like it's not just that time, but I'm trying to do as much work with volunteering with the Litecoin Foundation and investing the time I can into doing anything I can to add value. I'll be honest, it's been way more time doing volunteer stuff with.
So what's your role with them? Like, what's some of these things that you've been acquired to do? Yeah, my internet keeps lagging up. Sorry about that. Yeah, my internet, it's either yours or mine. I can hear you.
Okay. Let me, it looks okay on my end, but so the key stuff I've been doing was I'm working on several different projects. One of the bigger things last year was the sponsorships for our Litecoin Summit. The key things I'm working on now, there's a few things, but one of them is the sponsorships. Well, two things. One, in the more immediate future is working on putting together our involvement with the crypto. So we'll be doing the Crypto Invest Summit, and that'll be in Los Angeles.
In April, right? Yeah, I should be there. I should. I actually just hit up one of my friends in LA to see if I could crash on their couch. As soon as I get confirmation I have a couch, I have a flight.
There you go. Well, we've got a few Litecoin people out here, so maybe I'm sure there'll be a place for you. It was a great event. I was at the last one. They have a great kickoff party. I think Steve Wozniak was there. Draper's, a lot of Bill Bardheit, a lot of good quality stuff. So I decided, you know what, this is awesome. We need to get Litecoin Foundation involved. Reached out to Alon and Joseph, who are the organizers there, and worked out an arrangement where we're going to have Charlie Leo will speak the first day, and we'll have 3 panels also the second day that we're going to have several of our Litecoin Foundation volunteers speaking on. So that'll be, and we're going to have a booth the whole time there so people can come learn more about Litecoin. And our panels will be, Lightning Network will be one of the panels. Andrew, who was just on earlier, will be one of our guys. Merchant Payment Solutions will be one of the panels. One of the speakers will be Eric Brown with Client Payment. I'll actually be moderating that particular panel. And then Design for Decentralization, which is actually, I think, really cool. Robbie, one of our volunteers, I believe Carrie as well, who's one of our volunteers that develops Loaf Wallet, will be on the panel. And we have a few other people in the panels that talk about designing in the decentralized space, which is, you know, kind of a whole different process. So
yeah. How does anything get fucking done in a decentralized space, dude? That is definitely
right. Because if you can't say like we just you know, Robbie helped push a new logo out, and of course, you know, nobody has to take it, right? It's not like there's.
I'm not changing my logos.
Well, it's you might be able to get your guy to tweak that one, but I'm not sure.
I fucking got this and Dash changed the damn logo like a month later.
Funny as shit.
Fuckers.
Well, let me see the light. You have the Litecoin logo, or
I got it right there. Litecoin logo.
You can talk to Robbie. He might be able to give you some pointers or something.
I want to get an NFC chip implanted underneath of this, so when you tap your phone to my my tattoo, the NFC chip does a pre-populated text field of a public address. So you open up your Litecoin wallet, you tap my Litecoin tattoo, my Litecoin public address pre-populates, it texts itself out into the text field, and then you can just send me Litecoin.
Why not? What's that wallet address on your? Is that?
This is a Bitcoin wallet address. It was the first Bitcoin wallet I ever opened. I remember opening a wallet and I took a screenshot and I was like, I don't know if this is the password or if this is the username. I don't understand, but I know keys are things and stuff and junk, and there was a lot of terminology that was new. And I actually remember sharing that screenshot on Facebook saying, I think I'm Bitcoining. And then I deleted it. And I was like, wait, did I just share my private key? I don't know. Private keys look exactly like public keys. I don't know which key's which. I freaked right out, dude. So actually, after 1 year of being in crypto, I got my Bitcoin tattoo. I think right after Bitcoin broke $1,000.
Okay, if I zap that through the video, would it actually work?
It used to. Okay. And no, QR codes. Yeah,
I was gonna do it for
you. I get a lot of those offers, and it's saddening because QR codes don't scan after. Well, they do, but a good wallet won't acknowledge a bad QR code after it's been 30% corrupted. So as long as you have 70%,
because of your tattoo,
right? So if you have like 30% of a QR code missing, you actually might be able to get a solid reading on the actual public address of it. And actually what some people have done with this is you can take a QR code and you can distort it 30% or within that, you know, percentage and add a photo. So you could add like your own logo or the Litecoin logo, and it will be blocking some of the little blocks, but not enough to affect the overall data that can be acquired from that. So it's really decent.
You'll have to get a new tattoo. Is what you're saying.
I got to get a new tattoo is what I'm saying.
Get a Litecoin one this time too.
Another Litecoin tattoo?
I mean, a barcode.
Oh, that's true. I could do that.
That way it'll work, right?
See, what I was thinking about doing was getting a lightning bolt from one to the other, like the Lightning Network, like boom. And, you know, kind of when atomic swaps come out, I'll probably get some big background of like, you know, the universe, atomic, like.
We'll do our best not to change it for any time soon again.
I like the Litecoin logo. I hope it stops changing.
So it is cool, yeah, and so hopefully you can come out for the in addition to the event. I think it'll be a lot of fun. We're gonna have we'll have some great presence there at the event, and then also we were gonna have our Litecoin Summit, our second annual Litecoin Summit.
Drum roll.
Yeah, in Vegas maybe. So this time it'll be in Vegas in October. It'll be part of a blockchain week, so it'll be part of several others, including during Halloween week, including a World CryptoCon, which I know you were at last year. In fact, we were at your birthday last year, whether you remembered or not.
I was so
briefly, because I barely remember that evening, to be honest.
Shout out to Crypto Wendio for helping me forget the best birthday I ever had.
But I'll tell you what, the fun factor, in Vegas is off. It was off the charts. So that'll be an awesome event. We're going to have some amazing speakers. What's that?
What you're doing? Oh, it's a cigarette right now. I can't smoke anything else on the air because YouTube or Twitter or Facebook will. Yeah, it's even though it's like legal, it's not legal on their platform. So you can't smoke cannabis as a streamer on most platforms.
That's because your video is reaching some states probably where they don't.
Oh, that's true, actually. Damn, I didn't think of that. You're right. Maybe I have to put an age restriction or something. I don't know, but I know I got in trouble for it once, and I don't like to get reprimanded twice for the same thing.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, I'm just excited for these conferences because what I think that these events make possible, it's like you said, you're not just going to the World CryptoCon, you're going to multiple events in the same like week, and the Vegas week it's huge. It's not just for crypto even, it's a finance type of an event as well. It brings in a lot of traditional investors from the retail and the accredited side, the brokers and shit. They come out to Vegas for these events. And what I thought was really unique about World CryptoCon is, and what Litecoin Summit's going to be, is it's not a conference. Don't get it twisted. It's a fucking party. And the conference is the before party. It's such a good time.
It's definitely a party. There's no question about that. We're gonna have a great lineup. It's gonna be awesome.
Who are you expecting out there? Can you announce anybody for Vegas?
We can't. We may have. David Schwartz may have announced one or two people. We can't really talk too much about it yet.
We're gonna check out his feed after this.
But we'll announce that. We'll also have our sponsorship packages out soon enough. So. This will be awesome.
When you're looking for sponsors, I'm just curious, like, who is it that who's your target audience for a sponsor for a Litecoin event? Is it a crypto company? Is it a crypto product? Is it a Litecoin centric product? Or you open up to, like, I'm just curious, like Crypto Kitties or whatever, like what's sort of like your target demographic for a sponsorship for Litecoin?
Yeah, I think it's it's those that are involved with Litecoin to some extent, one way or another. It could be anything. I think that the best thing is people that are adopting Litecoin in their business. I think that's awesome to see, right? So our whole push is for payments. But there's a lot. They have exchanges that sometimes want to come on board. There's wallet apps, things like that. I think it's anything that's involved with Litecoin in a positive way is awesome.
Shout out to Litecoin Lotto.
Rob? Shout out to Rob Lotto. For that. Real quick shout out too. We've got an amazing community and they're raising money. They're doing things out there.
Jim Lisa, Flanagan, everybody, man. Shout them out.
Yeah, real quick, like Jim Flanagan, Crypto Keeper on Twitter. I can't shout out everybody because
dude, I love that app.
He's got a great app, and right now he's got a where you can register and win on St. Patrick's Day. Like I think he's giving away one Litecoin.
Aaron, go bra, baby.
Yeah, so that'll get part of your hotel for CIS.
I got a little bit of extra luck right here.
Or you can add the other part of your L to your tattoo there with that if you win that Litecoin right there.
That's actually
maybe it'll be worth more by then too. Michelle, my crypto, she's doing awesome stuff for the Brazilian community. I would be afraid to shout out everybody because I'm going to miss too many people.
I know, right? I see them in the chat. I see you, Amina. I see you, Lisa. Jim's here. Danny Sessom from the Crypto Show. I love all you guys. Thanks for joining the live stream.
Oh, we have a few viewers?
Yeah, we still have 20 actually that I can see because we're pulling from 7 different platforms. I can only see from 3. So we have 20 viewers live from 3 different streams, but the other 4, I don't know how many are watching. So we probably have more than 20 altogether. But that's the thing I did. I actually decentralized my platform, and it has affected me as a content creator. I do not get as many views on my YouTube videos, and it is exponentially worse. But if I add up all the views from the videos from the 7 platforms, I got exponentially more. The only incentive is Google AdSense. If I put my video only on YouTube and I send you to YouTube to watch my video, I actually earn from Google AdSense, and that's why you want to get more views on YouTube than anywhere else. But I'm actually earning Steam from Vim.tv. I'm earning DLive from DLive. I'm earning Tube from BitTube. I'm on so many different platforms now that I'm actually earning more by getting less views on YouTube. So I'm trying to see if I can incentivize more content creators to decentralize themselves, decentralize your platform, decentralize your audience, because you're centralizing your audience right to a soapbox that is centralized and is censored. So YouTube can say tomorrow, anybody talking about cryptocurrencies is against our terms and services. They've done this with cannabis and they've done this with adult content. And it's not like pornographic adult content. It's just like sex education type shit that they have banned, and cannabis education they have banned. And this is crypto education in a sense. That's why I have this specifically labeled under YouTube section comedy, because this is supposed to be fucking funny.
We can make some jokes if you want.
I know one crypto joke. I know one crypto joke. You ready?
Okay.
Ripple.
That's a joke. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
I got one.
You know, it's funny though, when the way you say it too, the way it ripple, the way it comes off of your mouth.
Yeah, I almost gag. It's like acid reflux when I say the word. It's not good.
But honestly, our community is there's so many people doing so many awesome things out there, and there's so much work behind the scenes that a lot of people don't get credit for, or that's just not well, is known. Because keep in mind, I mean, YouTube or Twitter, these are great mediums for people, on the surface to see what's going on and get the word out. But there's a lot that's happening behind the scenes as well that we would never be where we were even today without a lot of those things happening. So I'm thankful. I'm doing whatever I can on my part, and I'm very thankful for anybody that's doing anything else they can to help push for adoption. And it all matters, and everybody can be involved, because you don't have to be a programmer or a coder or a techie. I mean, John Kim's a perfect example, out on the streets. We need that as much as anything, right? We would, if all we had were developers and nothing else, we'd be nowhere. If all we had were, people doing other things without developers.
And it doesn't matter how amazing your product is. If nobody knows it exists, they won't be able to utilize it.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like when we go at the events and watching people sharing like Low-Fall at one of the apps that's been built through the
Loaf
Foundation.
Is a really nice
great app. And when we could show how easy it is, this is what I've actually really taken note of. Like we go to events and we have somebody that's showing somebody else how easy it is. They'll get them to download Low-Fall. They'll send them a little bit of Litecoin, and that person will see how easy it is not only to receive, but how awesome the whole experience is. They're usually hooked right there. And that's probably can't be underestimated. I mean, the value of somebody firsthand with the wallet in their hand, receiving a little bit of Litecoin, a little bit of currency is awesome. And those are, everything we do is important, in every way we can to get the word out. So
yeah, shout out to the community, guys.
Big thanks there. And I think we're going to have an awesome event. We will have more information on the event.
Well, there's a few now, right? So I want to make sure that everybody's kind of aware of them all. We have Andrew, who has his virtual conference, which is happening via Zoom. He said $10 for an event or $100 for the whole conference, which is a pretty damn good deal when you're thinking about being able to be a fly on the wall in one of the most technical environments. Like, even like he said, if you're a noob coming into the space, this is going to be like a crash course. And I've always gone to a conference and been the fly on the wall. I've always kind of just sat there and listened, and I would go up to a few booths or something that they intrigued me. But I would like to do is I like to stand by a project and hear them talk to other people about their project. And that's what this virtual conference is going to make possible. You can kind of just put it on like a podcast. So that's really cool that he's doing that. And then you have CIS and World CryptoCon. Anything else? I don't want anybody to miss any Litecoin events.
Well, there's actually you can actually go to for great example. If you go to the Litecoin app, you can actually see all the different events that are going on. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I might miss something if I put it out there.
And that's the app by CryptoKeeper, right? Litecoin app.
Yeah, it's a great app for resources there where you can see everything that's going on. There's a concert that's coming up. There's there's things in the works as well. I mean, the world our Vegas conference is not until October, but we're going to have several things. We have several things before then. So Yeah, I mean, there's some bigger events, some smaller events being worked on.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I
meetups
think
that I see pop up.
with Rob, a lot of Rob is actually working on a golf event where we're going to have Litecoin involved on, I think,
Crypto
scorecards.
PGA Tour. What?
So yeah, I'm not. Yeah, so I
Does it have 21 holes? That would be perfect. Perfect.
That would be perfect.
It'd be a long ass day, but it would be perfect. What are your, I guess to wrap things up, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep you hostage for 2 hours. I just couldn't let you go, man, but I will now if you got to get going. And to kind of recap and wrap things up, let people know a little bit about where they can find you and, where they can find more information on Litecoin, maybe elevator pitch, what is Litecoin? So people that may have just tuned in can get that at the end here, and where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, Alan Austin, ALAN. Actually, I got to double check that. I'm on Twitter, Alan G Austin. That's ALANG, like Gerald, and then Austin, AUSTIN. Twitter, I think, is Alan Austin. Those are probably the key ways. Through Alan at LitecoinFoundation.net is another way via email. Boy, there's I would follow the Litecoin Foundation Twitter account is a great way to get.
Is that how I could become a volunteer? Because if somebody's watching and wants to be a volunteer like you are, how do they get involved?
So you could email them. You could reach out to them, and I'm not sure what the exact process is, but if you email them, they can definitely help you with that. You could find Litecoin Foundation on Twitter. So that's a great way. You can subscribe to our newsletter that comes out bi-weekly, and you can get it. That'll actually give you a lot of information on current events and everything else that's going on with Litecoin. That's one of the best ways. And I think that's some of probably the best ways as far as through the foundation itself. I mean, there's a lot of resources when it comes to Litecoin and to learn about it as well. So, but there, I think the foundation is probably one of the better places because, you've got people working for the best interests, that are volunteers working for the best interest for Litecoin. So, probably as you get on Twitter, you'll find a lot of people involved that you can follow and learn a ton more. I only started using Twitter. I had an account forever, never used it. I only started using it since I joined the foundation, and it's actually one of the best places to be for crypto community and stuff like that. I mean, there's obviously a lot of, you take the good with the bad on Twitter, but there's a lot of good stuff out there.
That is true. That's almost like any social platform, really. But crypto Twitter is definitely one of the best places to go to kind of get interacted with it, right? Like I could tweet out to Charlie Lee and there's a damn good chance he'll reply. Like it's just, it is possible to reach out to the people that are really highly involved in these companies or projects or foundations or anything that's really happening in this industry right now to do with blockchain and crypto because it's so early. So I definitely encourage people to reach out and get more involved. Like if they have any questions, I'm sure you're available to help, right? And the Litecoin
Foundation and there's absolutely, and I'm trying to add, my goal is to add value where I can bring things from my own experiences and, whether it's overseeing projects, and investing for many years, longer term, bigger picture things, adoption, business development, relationships, things like that. I'm absolutely happy. Anybody that wants to get involved in space, I'd be happy to. I won't give investment advice specifically. I won't ever give price advice because that's just, might as well put a monkey next to me and we can both throw darts and I probably won't even win. But I can tell people what I would do, what I've done, right? And if for what that's worth, and it's also local meetups. There's a lot of, depending where you live. I mean, there's a lot of meetups you can get involved with. I think that are great ways to meet people and get more involved in the community as well.
All right, bro.
And listen to Ken Bozak.
Yeah, man.
He's a great resource.
Yeah, I do stuff. Sure. I talk about.
No, seriously. When it's interesting because when you talk about some of the stuff, you put it in ways that the average person getting into the space can really understand. You're relating to things on a common level where in day-to-day life, and that's really. Here's the thing. I think one of my initial roles was like, just to, I know we're gonna wrap up, but you've got developers, you've got the end users. There's a huge need to bridge that gap, right? It's like, they're two different languages a lot of times. And one thing I learned when I was working with this technology company building real estate stuff was that the coders and developers, you'd never usually put with the customers because they wouldn't understand each other.
Exactly.
Communicating and you know, in ways that the end user can understand is huge. It can't be underestimated, because they don't necessarily need to know all the details behind the scenes and all those things. In fact, they don't want to. They'll be overwhelmed. They need to know how it relates to them, how it benefits them. You put it in ways that really, you know, really brings that out, I think.
Appreciate that, man. My inspiration has always been a bit of like Andreas Antonopoulos is. When I first got into this, man, so much of it went over my head that it would be his way of explaining things. And I've actually watched his way of answering the same question, the same exact question, 10 different ways. But those 10 different answers that he gave to the same question left each audience with the same exact takeaway. Same question, different answer, same takeaway 10 times. And I was just sitting there like, he can read an audience. He knows exactly how to, you know, use an analogy properly. And some of the times when people say things like in an interview, I try to reiterate in an analogy to make it make sense. Because a lot of the people that are looking at this aren't looking at it because they were previously investors. They're looking at this as a potential to ever become one because they cannot become accredited. They don't have the means to invest in other avenues. They've been told no by the legacy system. So they're looking at this, and not such investing, even financial, their government or country, their banking issues. This is a live or die scenario for a lot more people than it is a make or break more fiat scenario. And I think that has to be on the forefront of a lot more conversations, that this isn't just for people that already have money to make more money. This is for people to avoid being completely destroyed by mismanagement of economic resources by their governments. And it's a hedge. So hedge in, but I would never recommend diving into this. But I do, and that's from my own personal, you know, hedge in until you're comfortable. I started, you know, getting in like dollar cost average with weekly investments, and then I started earning it. I got my paycheck direct deposit into Bitcoin. I found out how I could get my employer to pay me in crypto direct deposit. So I didn't have to worry about my money going to a bank to be fractionally reserved or fractionally lended out. I had my money right away. I'm actually like a U.S. anarchist in a sense. My dream is to cause the U.S. dollar to go to zero because it is worthless. It has no role in this world anymore. It would be like trying to shove hay into your car at this point. It doesn't make any damn sense. So I don't look back, man. I look forward, and I appreciate all the time you gave me today, and I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation. I mean, shit, dude, 2 hours, man. I really do, again, appreciate your time.
I wasn't sure we'd have enough to talk about for an hour, but
I feel like
there are always things to talk about.
Oh, dude, right. I could keep going, but I mean, we got
But this is important stuff. And like you said, look, we may not see the urgency of some of these things here in the U.S., but there is a bigger urgency in some countries. Yep. And you know, this is not something people are just putting away for years in some of these situations.
Yeah, so, this is something that they have to use immediately. I earn my Litecoin, I spend my Litecoin. I'm paycheck to paycheck. How does Litecoin help me? Those are the kind of people I want to talk to.
Well, awesome, man. Next time I'm gonna interview you. I'm gonna have some questions for you.
Oh, dude, anytime. You can post, you can use my calendar link on Twitter, and you can book me anytime I'm available, and I'm all yours, man. I would love to do that.
Yeah. And maybe if we don't have video on, you could feel free to smoke and do everything else you want to do.
Oh, cool. We'll have sound effects.
All about people feeling comfortable, man.
Yeah, you're right, man. That's true. It does suck to have to self-censor yourself to appease the almighty, streaming platforms, but
it is what it is.
I think that it will change very soon, not just because of the cannabis laws, but, I mean, it's just like... such a big loss to their platform. It really is. You know, it's like saying no to gaming or something. It's an entire industry that uses your network. It's dumb. But anyway, as I digress, dude, thank you. And everybody check out Litecoin foundation.org. Get all your information Litecoin related there. Go to Twitter and check us out. And hey, don't forget to drop some comments in the comment section below. Let us know what your thoughts are about Litecoin and the role that it has in the future of money. Let's open this conversation up, not just between you and I, but to the community as well. In the comments section, I encourage and implore you, voice your opinion, comment something that's on your mind, and let us know what your thoughts are of Litecoin. And as always, have a day. We're out.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.